When publicly accused of shunning disfellowshipped members, Jehovah's Witness leadership consistently deny it.
The elders came to the decision that Mr. Wall was not sufficiently repentant for his disgraceful conduct, and the congregation elders took the decision to disfellowship him. That word is used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship. As I point out at paragraph 22 of my factum, the nature of the relationship then of a disfellowshipped person is not completely shunned. As far as their family members are concerned, normal family relations continue with the exception of spiritual fellowship.
After the Channel 4 documentary about former Jehovah's Witness member Rebecca Vardy, which specifically focused on the group shunning practices, Watchtower representatives said, "Courts have rejected the allegation that disfellowshipping and so-called shunning results in social isolation and discrimination, and it is simply misleading and discriminatory to imply that our religion is controlling so-called shunning." Well, here's a video on the group's official website, jw.org, called Loyally Uphold Jehovah's Judgments, Shun Unrepentant Wrongdoers. The shunning is so called by the religion itself.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning.
The leadership insists that it is simply misleading and discriminatory to imply that our religion is controlling. They said, controlling the narrative. Well, here's the daily text for Jehovah's Witnesses on the day I'm recording this, Saturday, July 1st, 2023. If you're not familiar, Jehovah's Witnesses have a publication called Examining the Scriptures Daily, which features a Bible verse for each day of the year, accompanied by a quote from a Watchtower publication. So here's today's quote, and I'm going to read it in its entirety. Content warning for any disfellowshipped members. Disfellowshipping is part of Jehovah's arrangement. It is in the best interests of everyone, including the wrongdoer. Any negative comments about the way a disciplinary matter was handled have likely been initiated by someone who did not mention details that would put the wrongdoer in a bad light. We simply do not have all the facts. It is wise, then, to trust that the elders who took judicial action made every effort to follow scriptural principles and to judge for Jehovah. By supporting the elders' decision to disfellowship your loved one, you may actually help him to return to Jehovah. Severing family association.
Normal family relations continue.
Severing family association. Severing family association with our adult son was extremely difficult, admits Elizabeth. But after he returned to Jehovah, he admitted that he deserved to be disfellowshipped. In time, he expressed appreciation for the lessons he learned.
Don't believe a word of it.
Now, it's important to note that this quote was taken from the September 2021 study edition of the Watchtower, which is publicly available on the group's various websites. The Shun Unrepentant Wrongdoers video is even older than that. They aren't hiding any of this. They've never been hiding any of this. So what makes them think they can get away with it? Because they do, and they have. Until the past few years with the Leah Remini special, the Vice documentary, the Four Corners documentary, and the Rebecca Vardy expose, the group received very little pushback for any of its blatantly false claims regarding disfellowshipping. The press in the United States and the UK are particularly deferential toward other religions, and Watchtower correctly assumed that nobody would fact-check them on their lies. That is starting to change. The group has been stripped of its official religious status in Norway, due largely to its disfellowshipping practice being deemed a violation of human rights. The day after the Rebecca Vardy documentary aired, Watchtower mandated that 2 videos from their 2023 convention series highlighting the benefits and necessity of shunning be removed from the program. So, please share this daily text on your social media, to local reporters, to government officials. Let's put these cult leaders on blast. The reality is, despite Watchtower thinking the world is out to get them, hardly anybody with any authority or sizable platform cares about Jehovah's Witnesses. They're big enough that everyone knows someone who's a witness, and the group is generally good at keeping stuff like this in the family. There have been multiple documentaries in the last couple years on prestigious networks about NXIVM, countless about Scientology. despite those groups having far fewer members than Jehovah's Witnesses. Few are aware of their abusive practices outside of ex-members, like us. If you haven't seen Amazon Prime's documentary Shiny Happy People about the Duggar family and the cult they belong to, Institution of Basic Life Principles, you really should. It's a huge hit, people are talking about it, and the parallels between JWs and IBLP are stunning. And because this documentary is in the public consciousness, and Watchtower is becoming more overtly controlling in their internal videos and publications, it's a good time to spread this stuff around. People are starting to care, but only if we keep reminding people that it's something worth caring about. Blatantly abusive rhetoric like this daily text is striking to outsiders. Anyone outside of the cult's members can easily recognize this for what it is. So, what should we do? Well, one thing I'm going to do is fill out the contact form on Channel 4's website, the channel that broadcasted the Rebecca Vardy documentary that sparked Watchtower's lying response I quoted at the beginning of the video. I'm also going to continue to pester local investigative journalists and email this daily text quote to them. It's pretty easy. I just Google local investigative journalists and look for reporters that cover things like religion and human rights abuses. My plan is to briefly talk about my own shunning experience, then contrast it with the daily text and their response to the BBC. This text is a great little resource because it's new, it's one short, succinctly gross paragraph, it's very clearly culty, and it's on the group's official website, so I can easily link to it to show I'm not just making stuff up. Another quote, if I'm feeling particularly ambitious, is this little number.
Today, Satan continues his work as an evil ventriloquist using not serpents, but human puppets to enunciate his voice, these acting as his agents, either wittingly or unwittingly. Similarly, we must be careful about believing everything presented in the media about Jehovah's organization. Remember, the media is commonly motivated by prejudice, hatred, and a desire for profit. False and exaggerated news reports are very common.
It's a pretty damning quote because it clearly shows Watchtower leadership painting journalists, courts, and officials as satanic puppets, which might surprise and interest journalists, courts, and officials who buy into their nice, cozy reputation. So I'll post a transcript of that Stephen Lett quote along with the link to the video it's from on jw.org and the timestamp to it in the description of this video. I'm not going to get into a point-by-point rebuttal of this text because I basically did that in my video Every Lie Watchtower Tells About Shunning, which I'll also link in the description. And these days I'm trying to channel my outrage into something healthier and actionable. So if you want to join me, I've got some links in the description, and I'll keep you posted on any responses I get.
Bah. Goodbye, little sheep.